Spiritualist National Union live broadcast. My name is Minister Stephen Upton. I'm your host for this evening, and it gives me great pleasure to introduce to you our speaker for this evening, President of the Spiritualist National Union, Minister David Bruton. Welcome, David. Your microphone should be on.
Yes, it is. Can you hear me all right?
Yes, your sound is clear. And our medium for this evening is, just one moment, there we go, turn the mics on, is Chair of the SNU's Education and Exponents Committee, Minister Judith Seaman. Now, whilst Judith is preparing herself now, I don't expect her to chat to us at all. So Judith will be getting herself ready for her demonstration. Now, this evening is something very special. And whilst we've reached the 300 capacity through our normal Zoom facility, we are also linking via YouTube, a live video stream via YouTube, hopefully to Facebook. I've just heard your microphone on, Alv. Did you manage to link through to Facebook?
Yeah, we link through, but we have the participants' view rather than just the speaking person's view.
Right. Well, hopefully people can actually be able to see that. Unfortunately, I'm not able to record it, Alv.
Okay.
For some reason, it might be because we're live streaming, the record button has disappeared.
Okay, it's live on YouTube, however, so that's good.
So no idea how many we're reaching, but maybe we'll find out. Right, so I'm now going to invite Minister David Bruton to address you.
Good evening, everybody. Can I extend a very warm welcome to members and friends from around the world for this very special Hydesville event. Many of us at this time, as we know, find ourselves locked down in our homes due to the response to COVID-19 in an effort to keep us safe. And it's at times like this that perhaps our community is even more important than ever, and that ability to be there for one another. And that is the whole intent of everything the Spiritualist National Union is working with at this time through the various media channels to reach out to people, to involve people, to uphold people, to help them at this time. Many people living alone are missing that physical contact that is a part of daily life that we just take for granted. And it's only when it's not there anymore that we feel the need. And I hope in some way the work that we're doing is helping to fill that void and make you feel supported, truly part of our worldwide community. We also have to understand that the message of spiritualism is about so much more than just evidential mediumship. And I'm very confident that tonight's evening demonstration will afford each and every one of us a greater insight into the workings of the spirit world as they seek to inspire us at this very difficult time. Hydesville Day is such an important day in our calendar. It's a time that we remember the work and the efforts of our pioneers. Again, until recently, many of us enjoyed the living and working in a free society where we could worship as we chose. And I suppose this lockdown that we've experienced makes us all just reflect upon the freedoms that are part of everyday life, living in a modern world. So I would like to wish every single one of you a very happy Hydesville Day. I'm very confident that the demands upon our movement are going to be great when our isolation finally comes to an end. And I'm confident that each and every one of us will do all we possibly can in our own individual ways, drawing upon our own individual gifts to help build a more spiritually aware world for the greater good of all, where we can find that kindness and that care for one another. I hope that you truly enjoy our evening tonight. Having seen Judith work in trance on many, many occasions, I feel that she's an excellent exponent, and it's wonderful to actually have the voice of spirit shared here for the whole world to be part of. So I'm now going to hand back to Stephen and trust that you will all enjoy our evening. And thank you for joining us on SNUI and through the YouTube channel as we reach out around the world.
Thank you very much, David. I'm sure that there's quite a few of you who are tuned in right now and listening to us are thinking, what's this Hydesville Day they keep talking about? I know from looking down the list of names, people here, many of you, I recognise your names, and I know you know what it is. But I just wonder, perhaps there are many of you that don't understand. So before the demonstration, I'm going to share with you just a short presentation and give you a little bit of the background behind Hydesville Day. And this story goes back to the 31st of March in 1848. And these two young ladies is Margaretta and Kate Fox. And they moved into a small cottage in a very small hamlet in Upper New York State. The two sisters, Kate and Margaret, their older sister, Leah, who was not living with them at the time, she comes into the story later on. But the two younger sisters living with their parents in a small, what was known as a 1.5-story wooden building. And prior to them moving in, there was phenomena taking place in the building, rappings, noises, quite simply like that. And after they moved in, these noises continued predominantly during the night time. And then on the 31st of March, which is a day that became very special, they also occurred during the day. And at some point during that day, one of the sisters responded to the noises by clapping her hands. And back came, correspondingly, 2 raps. They established that there seemed to be some kind of intelligence behind this. And they established communication through those simple rappings, establishing a code. They could ask questions. 1 rap, a yes, 2 raps, a no, for example. And we regard these events as the beginnings, the birth of modern spiritualism. So we call it Hydesville Day because Hydesville is the location of where they happened. And from these events on the 31st of March, there was an explosion of mediumship right across North America and then around the world. So that's why it's very important to spiritualists. The building itself was moved in 1915 to Lilydale, which is also in Upper New York State. Some of you may have been there. I've been there. It's a very interesting place. And sadly, in 1955, it was destroyed by fire. But the location, Hydesville today, the actual site has been bought, I believe, by the North American equivalent of the SNU, the NSAC, or the NCAS, one of the other. Somebody from America will correct me, I'm sure. And over the original foundations, they've built this building to protect them. I visited several times over the years. It's now a memorial park. And for the first World Congress of Spiritualists, we held an outdoor service there, which was quite a privilege to take part in. And inside that building, you've got the original foundations of what eventually became the foundations of a new religion. So that's why Hydesville is important to us. And on the 31st of March every year, we celebrate Hydesville Day. So happy Hydesville Day to all of you. I'm now going to hand over to Judith and her control. And whilst we're waiting for the control to establish themselves, I'm just going to explain a little bit about what is taking place. You can probably see Judith there on the video. She's allowing her mind to be subdued, to be moved from its normal active state into a very passive state. This then, through long years of practice, enables the intelligences from the spirit world to be able to establish a degree of control over her mind and to express themselves through her. The trance control state is used for a number of different purposes, very often for speaking, for healing, painting, writing, but for this evening, it's so those from that group that work with Judith can express themselves verbally through her to bring to us their thoughts and their teachings. As a consequence of their intelligence overlaying that of the medium, you'll find there's a personality change and very often a voice change as well. This indicates the degree of control that they're establishing. I'm becoming very aware now from long practice that they're ready. So I'm going to say no more and hand over to the spirit friends and helpers of Minister Judith Seaman.
It is our great pleasure to be able to join you this evening on a day which you have chosen to make as a celebration of communion and communication with those of us who have moved through the physical life and on into the realms of spirit. And it is a great joy for us to be able to be aware of your presence together and yet not together around your world, your beautiful planet upon which you exist. And so this coming together is rather like magic, is it not? Yes, are you there, Stephen?
Yes, sorry, yes, I am here. I just muted myself and I'm struggling to unmute myself.
I would not know how to mute myself, so I will continue to speak, yes. And so it is good for this magic to take place, to be able to communicate with so many people at one time. And we are honored to be able to do this, especially as your world, your physical world, is going through a very great time of challenge. And perhaps some of you or many of you have questioned why it is happening. What is it that has brought this about? Apart from the origination of the virus, I am speaking about even before that. Why did it come into being? And perhaps you may have recognized that indeed, throughout the history of your planet, there have been times of great challenge, where there have been forms of plague that has affected the planet or parts of the planet in many ways. But this virus, which you have given a name to, is really a leveling of everyone around your planet. If you are to consider the history of your planet, there has been so much war of man against man. But now you are all at war with one virus. So you are all leveled, all dealing with the same opponent. And it is not an opponent that you can shoot or kill with your hands. It is something that is calling upon everyone to work very hard. Those who have the technical and knowledge to be able to create medicine, a vaccine, all of these things are being called upon to work to the highest of their ability. And each of you too are being called upon to work to your highest ability. For you may feel indeed isolated, for this is a word that is being used in your world a great deal. But you are not isolated. Your very soul, your spirit presence is part of one tremendous whole of life, life upon your planet and life in our world. There is no isolation. You cannot be separate from the whole. There are some words which are written in a book that all are parts of one tremendous whole, whose body nature is, and God the soul. That is written in the book that is created through the man called Andrew Jackson Davis, who began the Lyceum movement to educate children in the understanding of this from their beginnings. Many of you will have come to an understanding or a knowledge that life is eternal later in your lives. And so it is that as you have come to research this, look into it, seek it, then remember, it is so much more than just a communication from your family and friends. That is communication. But the unification of all of you, of parts as one stupendous whole, is true communion, communion of souls. And therefore you are never alone at that level. It is accepted scientifically that energy cannot be destroyed, and each one of you is energy. And therefore, that which you call spiritualism is also a science, for it tells you that because you are an energy, you cannot be destroyed. Your physical body does not continue to exist, it wears out, but the essence of you, the energy, continues to exist. And so those who have known you know you still, and sometimes they choose to communicate with you through a medium, but they are with you many times just when you feel alone or lonely, needing someone, and perhaps during this period that is happening for many of you. So when you can sit and be still and open your mind, allow your mind to receive, much like your technological equipment receives the signals, the communication from those in our realms, in our world, if you wish. Let them be close to you and know them as they were, just by their presence, by their wish to be with you when you feel perhaps lonely, or perhaps just wanting to be loved and to feel that love and presence again. In this period of your world, many are coming to our world. We are very busy welcoming these souls into the continuation of their life, attending to them and being able to greet them, and their family and friends greet them. And so whilst there is a leaving and a sadness in your world, there is a welcoming and a joy in our world to the many souls who are making that transition at this time. So let us come back to perhaps what this virus is doing. It is doing things that seems destructive. It is taking from you loved ones. It is causing people to be very sick. But what else is it doing in your world? Let me ask you, have you talked to each other as much recently? Or have you talked to each other more recently? I'd like to think I was receiving an answer to that, or we were receiving an answer. because with all your modern technology, which we are very grateful to be using, it takes away the communication that is personal, that is said without technology taking out of it the emotion, the feeling, the meaning. And so much of that technology has indeed taken away some of the feeling, the presence in communication in your world. And yet, those of you who come to a medium to seek that communication, you want to feel the presence of the communicator. You want to feel their love for you. And so it is important that that love, that presence can indeed override what the machinery can do in your world. And that is take away the personalization, the love, the feeling, the presence. So perhaps in what is called isolation, some of you have begun to communicate more with each other. We hope so. And I know that many of you have communicated with us in our world more, in your own homes, just quietly sitting and thinking of those of your dear ones who have come to our world before you. And they have responded. They have been there in response to your thoughts. And that is the greatest communication that you can feel. You know, words can be artificial. Someone might say, I love that flower. Do they really love that flower? No, they admire it. So this word love is so much more than how it is used in your world. When you think of this very small word, it is indeed made up of 4 simple letters. But one of the letters in that word, I beg your pardon, is a very special letter. It is the letter V. And the letter V is an energy that is always building for the future, putting down foundations, making connections. It is a powerful energy. So when you use this word love, recognize what it really means, that it means just that, building for the future. And that's what all of you need to be doing now, feeling the true meaning of the word love. Love for those who perhaps have left you to come to our world and are greeted with great love in our world. Love for each other in your current situation. And love for your planet. Because in what has happened, there has been a huge change in the atmosphere around your planet. Because there are not so many planes flying, the atmosphere has improved greatly since travel has been reduced considerably. Because carbon emissions have lowered because of the cease of work in many areas, there has been a change in the atmosphere around your planet. This planet is meant to exist forever, for souls to come, to live, to experience through many different journeys. And therefore, the great universal law will always, always tend to this planet and care for it, as you should do. For whilst you are alive on this earth, it is your responsibility. Mankind is entrusted with the care of this planet in every age. And through many ages, there have been huge changes. And so there has been recently. So many things are happening. But also, in the past, when man has been at war with his fellow man, there has been discriminations between cultures and creeds. This virus has no such discrimination. Everyone is treated equally by this virus. And perhaps you can gather that there is a message in that to you, that every human being should be treated equally on your planet. So this virus may just be reminding mankind that no man is greater than another. When something such as this power takes place, everyone is equal. So we have spoken for a short time about what is happening during this time on your earth. But perhaps, Stephen, if there are some questions, I would be happy to take them.
Yes, certainly, Jackson. I'm not going to ask people to raise their hands and come in verbally, but if you have a particular question you'd like me to put on your behalf to Jackson, please type it in the chat box. Clearly, with 300 people there, I'm only going to be able to select just a few of them. So please type some questions in the chat box, and I'll pick one or two that I feel are most suitable at this time. People furiously typing away.
May I just for a time, please allow a change to take place here?
Yes, certainly. Ladies and gentlemen, I know what's happening now. There's a different control. It's Amy now is coming forward. I can always tell when there's that change. So you're not going to be able to put a question to Jackson at the moment, but we're handing over to Amy by the sound of things.
Yes, good evening, Stephen.
Good evening.
I have been instructed to step forward because there are some perhaps scientific issues that may be questioned or would like to be discussed by those here.
Yes, certainly. We do have some questions now, if you'd like me to put one to you.
Yes.
Where are we? Just trying to get this thing to stop scrolling around. So I've just got, where are we? Right. Okay, there's a question from Emma. It keeps moving. What is the best use of our time whilst we're in isolation? Not terribly scientific, but it's a start.
The best use of your time is to be active in every way possible. One of the greatest facilities that you could access is being outside, because natural light is a great, powerful healing energy. So if you are not confined to your homes, then please try for a short period of time or as long as possible to be in natural light. This is something that we are really recommending. And even for those who are confined within walls, try to get to be in light through a window, because light is in this situation a very powerful, I can't say tool, medicine either. It is a powerful energy. Natural sunlight, of course, to the physical body provides various vitamins, but I am talking about light, because you may not realize that even in your darkest night, the power that emanates from the distant stars that you see only as a point in the heavens is a powerful energy. And therefore, all forms of light, your moon, the stars, the sun, everything is a powerful energy. And if you can remember this and accept that light and be able to be in line with it, if you wish, in accord with it, It will help to strengthen you through this difficult period, because the problem is that being isolated for many means not being in light. Do you understand that?
Yes, thank you.
And so many people have gone indoors and are not getting the same amount of light as they would normally for normal human existence to generate the antibodies that are needed within your body to fight infection and disease.
Okay, thank you very much. A question which I'm sure is very much on everyone's minds is from Crystal. Can man, and which means mankind, overcome this virus?
No, not at all. It will run its course. You cannot overcome the virus. It will run its course. Those who contract it will build up some immunity, rather like other viruses that you have in your existence. But this is just greater, stronger, mightier, and will run its course. And there may be mutations of it in the future. This is a very powerful energy which has been mutated, if you wish, into this current virus. And man cannot overcome it. Man must come to terms with it, if you wish, and build up a natural immunity. But that will take time. That will take time, which is why I am suggesting that you do not neglect your natural immune system, which you need to fight any kind of infection or viral infection in particular. Does that make sense to you?
Yes, certainly does. There's an extension to this question about, you said about light. The question from Claire is just visualizing that light just as effective as physically seeing?
No, it isn't, but it is still of benefit, but more mentally and of a healing nature internally. But the true light, physical light, is the most powerful medicine. So there are two very different forms of light. Internal light, which you visualize, enlightens the mind and often therefore the emotions, because the mind and the emotions go together hand in hand. They are the two parts of you that are the essence of you. They are the elements that will become part of your existence in our world when you leave the physical body behind. So always to visualize light is very empowering mentally and emotionally. And those tools are equally important at this time when people are isolated, but in a different way. Do you understand that?
Yes, thank you very much. We have a question from a YouTube viewer. I'm waiting for spirit and science to link together in our understanding of the Great All to bring much more to us. When may this be?
When you make it happen.
Okay, thank you very much.
Well, you're asking for the scientists to come together with us. We're ready.
Mm.
It is when that kind of knowledge and information becomes acceptable to the scientific community, which it is beginning, as you know, Stephen.
Yeah.
Some scientists are now working with you and with us, but it has a long way to go. But it can and will happen ultimately.
Yes, good, thank you. From Kim, will our collective intention help reduce the effects of the virus?
Well, if you mean by collective intention that it is a form of healing energy created through the mind, then yes. And that is where the visualization of light is important, because certainly healing energy can be visualized in different forms. Some people say healing energy is blue. Who said so? Maybe the person who made it so. Others say healing energy is white or yellow. It's not. It's all those colors. It's all that energy bound into one. pure white light put through a refractor produces all those colors. So if you are only attuning to your healing energy through one color, then you are detracting from the whole. So it's certainly using light as a healing energy. The whole of the white light is a powerful tool to utilize.
Okay, thank you.
I'm not sure if that answered the question.
Okay.
I get the feeling the answer is no.
Okay. A question from Pearl Martin.
That person who just asked that question previously, I will come back. Can I have the name again of that person? Have you lost it?
I have actually, because the question thing is scrolling up rather quick.
Yes.
And I'm just going to see if I go back. Was it the one about the collective intention?
Yes.
That's Kim Owens.
Yes, because I was aware as I was communicating that there was a female presence coming in around me that's very personal and close to that person, who I don't know if there was something to do with light there with that person, whether there was some loss of vision or something, I don't know, but there was just a very strong personal presence.
I've turned your mic on, Kim. Can you come in and speak directly? Can you speak, Kim? I've turned your mic on, Kim. Can you talk to Amy, please? Oh, you've turned it off again.
Never mind, if she doesn't wish to speak, that's fine.
Oh, there you go. Hello.
Can you hear me?
Hello.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
As I was speaking in answer to your question about the collective, I was aware very much of a strong presence of a woman, a female presence, where light seemed to be extremely important to this lady. And I wasn't sure if that was to do with, did she lose her sight or something? Would that make some sense to you?
I can't remember.
It's just that as though light was very important to this woman and as though there was some loss of light. If it doesn't make sense to you, then just give it some thought, because I'm meant to be dealing with as many as possible. So I don't want to dwell on it. But there was a presence there of an elderly woman who I believe lost her sight before she came to our world. I will leave that with you to think about.
I felt a very strong emotion. Thank you.
Yes, because she is very close to you.
Thank you very much.
You are very welcome. Yes, Stephen, I apologize for that, but you know it happens sometimes.
Yes.
When there is an important need somewhere.
Very interesting question from, I'm not quite sure how to pronounce it, possibly Olgab. Can the spirit doctors on your side help change the virus makeup to help it stop taking so many lives?
No.
Okay, thank you. Where are we?
You want to know more on that? It's simply because we are not in your physical world, and to change the makeup of the virus requires physical intervention. It cannot be done from our world.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. Oh, it keeps moving so quickly. A question from Marie Leisman. Is the coronavirus lockdown actually healing the planet?
Yes, it is. I have already said that the carbon emissions have already changed already. It has intervened in what was a very destructive energy to the atmosphere around your planet.
And Cat B, was this virus brought about because the world needed a break? She says from itself, but I'd be thinking a break from us, to be honest, pollution, etc.
I don't think that is for me to answer that question. I think that is for mankind to consider.
Yes, certainly.
But it is a very good question.
Yes. From Rania, will mankind really change after this, or will we return to our old practices?
That will be a very big time of decision.
Yeah.
If mankind goes back to the way things were, then what do you think may well happen? If man changes their habits, their practices, then perhaps there will be some beneficial changes. That I have already, no, I am being corrected. The loud one has said that the planet is entrusted into mankind. Mankind, the evolutionary pathway of mankind is made by mankind. That is a law of your planet. And therefore, what happens to your planet is in your hands. Therefore, it is down to mankind to consider what they will do after, perhaps I could say, not just an intervention, perhaps something in a colloquialism, which I am aware of, this wake-up call. Is that correct?
Yes. Oh, yes.
And so it is down to mankind to contemplate and make the right decisions.
Yeah. Yeah. It's amazing what, because, for example, if it wasn't for this, we wouldn't be doing right now what we're doing right now.
Yes, exactly.
We have 300 people online in Zoom, another 271 via YouTube. This information and this ability, this opportunity to collectively get together wouldn't have happened. So there are good sides as well.
But when you consider how many people you have got, how many do you think we have got?
That you mean linking in right now in an event like
Right
this?
now, yes.
Should I guess then at hundreds? More?
And more?
Thousands?
Yes, and more.
Really? Gosh, hundreds of thousands.
Yes, because whilst you are doing this, energy is flowing through the channels that are being created. As minds are touching minds, from my world to yours, as healing is being manifested, all of that is happening. The numbers you have are minuscule compared to the numbers that we have in this connection that is being made through your machinery and through the mental and emotional connections.
It's amazing, isn't it? Absolutely amazing. A question that actually keeps coming up, and I've been trying to ignore it for a little bit actually, but it keeps coming back, so I feel obliged to put it to you. It's from several different people. Is the virus man-made?
Yes and no. It is man-made in a sense that the elements that created it had to exist in your planet's atmosphere to begin with. It was incubated through what you call mammals. It's incubated through creatures, various types of creatures, and therefore it came into being through that. But it was created from various sources prior to the incubation. If you consider that the elements of the virus were not in a physical form to begin with, so they had to be incubated through creatures. First of all, at insect level, and as the insects were consumed, so it came through into creatures and then through into mankind. Does that make sense to you?
Yes, thank you, yes. There's. Are you still okay? To continue, Amy?
I beg your pardon?
Are you okay to continue?
I am fine.
Oh, good. Where are we? Where are we? I'm trying to, as I get my eyes focused on questions, suddenly another one comes in and it jumps up and I lose sight of it. As we are all healing, as we're all energy and vibrating at a certain speed, would increasing that vibration help with healing the world? And what frequency do we need to vibrate at? That's from Lee Hunter.
Now, the answer is yes, but the frequency is not something you could measure on any scale that you have, because the frequency required is that of the healing energies, which are manifested beyond any scale that you could measure on any of your instruments that are available at this time. With this work with the scientific community that we have undertaken, and through the mediums that have taken part in the studies, you have seen on equipment, have you not, Stephen, the changes that take place?
Yes, yes.
And that is only on your very simple, basic equipment. If you had equipment that went far beyond that, then you would be able to see the type of frequencies. And we are coming back to light, the essence of light. Natural, pure light.
Thank you. There's a question here I'm trying to focus on if it stops moving. It's from Novella. Is there anything that we can say to those who are suffering or who have some sick relative to bring comfort?
I think that the words that you would like me to give to you don't exist, because the only words that you can give to them is that their loved ones who move from the distress and sickness in your world to ours are cared for, are loved, are in light, they are welcomed. There is joy and celebration here. For those who are witnessing the sickness is only to continue to get them, if possible, to focus on light and feeling better and keeping their minds and emotions positive. We are back to the same questions at the beginning. For light can be used physically for the physical body, but mentally and emotionally for those who are sick. Excuse, I beg your pardon. I needed to clear the throat. You know this is a problem from time to time.
Yes, it certainly is.
And so that is back to the answer again. For those who leave your world to ours, they are coming into the light, if you wish, to be welcomed and joyously received. For those who are struggling through it here, to focus on that light, but it will improve their mental and emotional. It is a healing for the non-physical levels. The visualization of light in all forms. If you imagine for a moment, when you look into your night sky, you say, I can see a star. No, you can't. Your vision is definitely not good enough to see a star that is light years away, is it? Is there an answer?
Yes, that's right. You're not actually seeing it, are we?
No. So what are you seeing?
The light that emanated from it sometimes many, many hundreds of years ago.
Exactly. That is how powerful light is. Recognize that. That if you are seeing it, you are also feeling its light. You cannot not feel the light of a star because it is emitting that light that travels, and the fact that you can witness its presence, and even those that you can't see, are all emitting light from other galaxies, from other suns, other stars. Light is powerful in the universe. And it is the universal energy of light that is the main source of balance, of correction, of healing, of all that is needed in your world at this time.
During a very difficult time for such a large proportion of mankind, so we are talking literally affecting millions of people, does this actually affect the spirit world in the sense that it creates additional work for people from your place that try and help us? Is it something that was expected and therefore you prepare for it?
I'm stepping back, Stephen.
Okay. Thank you anyway for being here.
It's not over, just stepping back.
Yeah.
There is no change in our world, except that we are welcoming more souls from yours. But who know, perhaps it's because at this moment you recognize how many souls are making that transition. You are being given numbers on your machinery, your televisions, yes?
Yes, that's correct. Every day we're told the numbers.
But every day, the same kind of numbers are making their transition through man's inhumanity to man, through war, through starvation. So whilst these numbers are being highlighted to you in the form of this virus, in actual fact, some of what was happening previously, those numbers fall whilst these increase. You don't know every day how many people come to our world because you don't have a number on your television. But the numbers are great. And so therefore now you are focusing on that. Can you understand what I am saying to you?
Oh, yes, absolutely. Yes.
And so it is no more work for us. Ours is not work. It is welcoming. It is reuniting. It is coming together as one. It is a joyous time for souls to meet that have been separated. It is not work. It is great celebrations for many. So you see, whilst you are weeping, many who are coming to our world are joyous and reunited. There is always a balance in everything, in all energy. The scales must always balance. You have something which is said, that when a ship leaves the harbor, the people weep as their loved ones set sail upon the ocean. Do you understand that?
Yes.
And as that ship arrives, those are waiting and cheering and welcoming those who have made the journey and are arriving. That is very true of death and transition. Whilst you weep, we celebrate.
Yeah. Yes, we look at it from a totally different perspective, don't we?
Yes, of course.
We lose, you gain.
And if I could say to you at this time that we speak sometimes of the web of life. The web of life, every one of you and we are connected through that web of life. And every positive thought that any of us undertakes adds power and light and energy to that web. So I would like to ask of you to begin to perhaps try to visualize this web of light that connects each soul to another. That web of light that simply keeps existence. It is life. And each time you put your thought into it, your light, your love, your healing, it travels around the web. Your thoughts to those who have come to our world are received on the web. It is a form of communication far beyond anything you have. You think your equipment is wonderful this evening, but it is nothing compared to the web of life, where every thought that is emitted is received. That's quite a powerful energy, because not every thought is beautiful. But for every beautiful thought that you emit, it travels. In fact, for every thought that you emit, it travels on that web of life to wherever it is needed or wherever it is intended. And if you begin to recognize every one of you, you are a connection, a junction on that web of life, then your power of your thinking now can make a difference to supporting all the people, everyone equally. And the word is equally, because inequality in your world is one of its biggest diseases. If you look at the affluence in certain areas of life and the poverty in others, that is a big dis-ease in your world. And perhaps more even than you recognize and realize, and even acknowledge. For many do not want to acknowledge that differential, that affluence and poverty are the farthest poles apart, almost like the poles on your planet. And yet, there is nothing being done to balance those poles. The poles on your planet are essential to keep it balanced. And those poles are essential in your world. So therefore, perhaps something else to consider is not just what has already been spoken of that could come from this virus, but also a rethinking of the value of things, the financial value, the worth, and also the value of love and caring for each other. You cannot put a value on those things. And yet it is that at this time, affluence has made huge gaps in the life force on your planet. So as well as caring for the planet itself, mankind needs to contemplate caring for all the life force that exists upon its surface, both mankind and animal kind. And that too is part of the healing balance which your planet very much needs at this time.
Thank you very much.
I hope that our words have been of some value and interest to you this evening. We have tried to reach out through this equipment, through this transference of energy through the ether, to every single one of you that has been connected. We have tried to touch you. I don't mean physically, but just to try to make you aware of our presence, because we are ever present in your lives. Just being there for when you wish to acknowledge us, but not when you don't. When you feel you want to acknowledge us, we are happy to agree to that. but we will not interfere in your lives if you do not acknowledge us. That is natural law, but our thoughts will always be with you. And we leave now, at this moment, an emission of light that is going out now from our world to all of you. We ask that you might be aware of it. Allow it to be our gift to you. For this light is pure light. It is the universal energy of life from the divine source. And we give it to you as our greatest gift in this time of trouble for your planet and for all living things upon its surface.
Thank you very much. As Spirit Friends, Jackson, the group that he works with now, withdraw their hold over the medium's mind, I'm just going to give you some notices of events we've already organised over the next week or so. We're organising a public healing service for every Friday until the end of the crisis now, starting at 6:30. And we're going to be advertising and placing the links for these public events on the SNUI website. That is www.snui.org. So if you go to that website and click on tuition program, you'll find at the top the links to the what we're calling open access public events. You don't need a password, you don't need to be a member. Everyone's welcome. So every Friday, 6:30, there's going to be a public healing service. On Sundays at 6:30, SNUI's Divine Service is being opened up to the general public. And starting from next Monday evening at 7 p.m, the President, accompanied by one or two members from the NEC, will be addressing spiritualists worldwide. So that's every Monday at 7. And at some evening during the week, a special event like this evening, and the event for next week will be on Friday, and we'll repeat in the Sue Wood and Stella Upton Spirit Art demonstration. We only had a capacity of 100 people on the last one, so a lot of people were disappointed. Now we can get 300 in, plus we're linking it through, hopefully to Facebook, although this evening that didn't work. We've used YouTube. And at one point, there was 281 on YouTube, I noticed. So we are increasing the number of events for general access during this time when our churches are closed. Just coming back now, see, you okay, Judith?
Yes, I'm fine, thank you.
Super, thank you very much. That was wonderful. So thank you very much, Judith. Thank you, David, for your talk at the beginning. And I'd like to thank every one of you for joining us this evening on this SNU special open broadcast. I thank you all on YouTube, all of you on Zoom, and please join us again for our next event, which is the public healing service on Friday, starting at 6:30 p.m. UK time. All the times we advertise are based on current UK time. Thank you, everyone, and enjoy the rest of your day, your evening, wherever you are in the world. I've noticed there have been some people from California, from all around the world. So whatever time you're in, thank you. And I'll say, from us, it's good night. For some of you, it may be good day. Thank you. Good night.
Still, it's dropping now. There's still a lot of people online.
When you were talking, your picture.
Words are not enough for me to say how much I miss you. You flew away too soon. I feel so alone.